Welcome back to Speakly. I'm Alex, and this is the podcast where we help people learn English through fun, natural conversations. Whether you're just starting your English journey or you're looking to improve your speaking skills, this show is designed to help you learn real English the way native speakers actually use it. Today, I'm excited to have Angela here with me. Angela, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Alex. Thanks so much for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. So, Angela, before we dive into today's topic, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm originally from California, and I've been living near the beach my whole life. I'm actually a marine biology teacher, so I spend a lot of time by the ocean, both for work and for fun.
Oh, wow, that's perfect. So you're definitely the right person to talk to about today's topic, which is fun things to do at a beach. And for our listeners, this is great vocabulary and conversation practice because beach activities are something people love to talk about in English.
Absolutely. And there are so many different activities, so it's great for learning lots of new vocabulary, too.
Exactly. So, Angela, let's start with the basics. When you go to the beach, what's the first thing you usually like to do?
The first thing I always do is find a good spot to set up. Somewhere not too crowded, maybe close to the water, but not so close that the waves will wash away your stuff.
Right, yeah.
And then I like to lay out my beach towel, maybe put up a beach umbrella if it's really sunny. Getting your base camp set up is important.
Base camp, I love that. That's such a good way to describe it. And for our English learners, those are some great beach vocabulary words. Beach towel, beach umbrella, setting up your spot.
Exactly.
Now, what about swimming? Are you someone who jumps right into the water or do you ease into it slowly?
Oh, I'm definitely an ease into it slowly person. The ocean water in California can be pretty chilly even in summer, so I usually start by just getting my feet wet, then gradually wade in deeper.
Uh-huh.
Some people just run and dive right in, but that's way too shocking for me. What about you, Alex? Are you a jumper or a wader?
I'm probably somewhere in between. I like to splash some water on myself first to get used to the temperature, and then I'll usually just walk in until it's deep enough to start swimming. I'm not brave enough to just dive right in like some people do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And speaking of swimming, there are so many different ways to enjoy the water. What are some of your favorite water activities?
Oh, there are so many. I love body surfing. That's when you ride the waves without a surfboard, just using your body. It's really fun, and you don't need any special equipment.
Right.
I also enjoy snorkeling when the water is clear enough. There's something magical about seeing the underwater world, even if it's just small fish and sea plants.
That sounds amazing. And I imagine with your background in marine biology, you probably see things that the rest of us would miss completely.
Definitely. I get really excited about finding different types of seaweed and tiny crabs hiding in the rocks. Most people walk right past them, but there's so much life in those tide pools.
Tide pools. That's another great beach activity that people might not think of. Can you explain what tide pools are for our listeners?
Sure, tide pools are small pools of water that get left behind when the tide goes out. They're usually found around rocky areas of the beach, and they're like little ecosystems. You can find sea anemones, hermit crabs, small fish, starfish, all sorts of creatures.
Wow, that's fascinating.
It's like having a natural aquarium right at the beach. And it's a great activity for kids, too, because they love discovering all the little creatures.
That's a great point. Now, what about activities that don't involve getting in the water? I know some people prefer to stay dry at the beach.
Oh, absolutely. Beach volleyball is huge where I live. There are courts set up right on the sand, and it's such a fun way to be active. Even if you're not very good at volleyball, it's still enjoyable.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's frisbee, which is perfect for the beach because there's so much open space. Plus, if you throw it wrong and it goes into the water, it's not a big deal.
That's a good point. And what about more relaxing activities? Not everyone wants to be running around on the beach.
Reading is one of my absolute favorite beach activities. There's something so peaceful about lying on your towel, listening to the waves, and getting lost in a good book.
Mm-hmm.
And sunbathing, of course, though I always make sure to use sunscreen. Building sandcastles is another classic. I see families doing it all the time, and honestly, it's not just for kids. Adults can get really creative with sand sculptures.
Oh, definitely. I've seen some incredible sand sculpture at beaches. People make everything from castles to dolphins to abstract art. It's really impressive what you can do with just sand and water.
Exactly. And the great thing about sandcastles is you can make them as simple or as elaborate as you want.
What about collecting shells? Is that something you enjoy?
Oh, yes. Beachcombing is so relaxing. You just walk along the shore and see what washes up. Shells, interesting rocks, pieces of sea glass.
Sea glass. That's those smooth, frosted pieces of glass that have been tumbled by the ocean, right?
Exactly. They start out as bottles or jars, but the ocean smooths all the sharp edges and gives them this beautiful frosted appearance. Green and brown are the most common, but if you find blue or red sea glass, that's considered really special.
That's so cool. Now, let's talk about some of the more active beach sports. You mentioned volleyball, but what about surfing?
Surfing is huge here in California. I'm not very good at it myself, but I love watching the surfers. It's like watching a dance between the person and the ocean.
That's a beautiful way to describe it.
For beginners, I'd recommend trying paddleboarding first. It's easier to learn, and you can do it in calmer water. You stand on a large board and use a paddle to move around. It's great exercise for your core muscles, too.
Stand-up paddleboarding, or SUP as some people call it. That does sound more beginner-friendly than surfing.
Right, sup. And the nice thing is, if you fall off, you just climb back on. With surfing, you're having to wait for the right wave, and you're dealing with much more powerful water.
That makes sense. Now, what about beach picnics? Do you ever bring food to eat on the beach?
Oh, definitely. Beach picnics are wonderful, but you have to plan carefully. Sandy sandwiches are not fun to eat.
Sandy sandwiches, that's a nightmare.
Exactly. So I always bring a cooler with a tight lid, and I pack foods that are easy to eat and won't get messy. Fresh fruit like grapes and berries are perfect, and plenty of water. Being in the sun and salt air really makes you thirsty.
Good point about staying hydrated. And I imagine timing is important too. You probably don't want to eat a big meal right before swimming.
Right, exactly. I usually plan my beach picnic for later in the afternoon when I'm done with most of my water activities. It's a nice way to wind down and watch the sunset.
Watching the sunset from the beach, now that's something really special. There's nothing quite like it, is there?
No, there really isn't. The colors reflecting on the water, the sound of the waves, maybe a few seagulls calling. It's pure magic, and it's free entertainment that never gets old.
That's beautiful. Before we wrap up, do you have any tips for people who might be visiting a beach for the first time, or for English learners who want to talk about beach activities?
Great question. First, safety is always important. Pay attention to any warning flags or signs, and never turn your back on the ocean. Waves can be unpredictable. Also, don't forget sunscreen, even on cloudy days.
Good advice.
For vocabulary, I'd say learn words like shore, tide, waves, sand, seashells, and different beach equipment like beach chairs, coolers, and sun hats. These come up in conversation all the time.
Perfect. And most importantly, just relax and enjoy the experience. The beach is supposed to be fun and peaceful.
Absolutely. Don't worry about doing everything perfectly. Just soak up the sun, listen to the waves, and let yourself unwind.
Actually, before we wrap up, I'd love to talk about a few more beach topics that I think our listeners would find really useful. Let's talk about beach photography. Angela, do you ever take pictures when you're at the beach?
Oh, absolutely. The beach is one of the most photogenic places on Earth. I love capturing sunrises and sunsets, of course, but there are so many other great photo opportunities. The patterns that waves make in the sand, interesting driftwood, people building sandcastles.
Those are great subjects. Do you have any tips for taking better beach photos? I imagine the bright sunlight and sand can create some challenges.
Definitely. The sand acts like a giant reflector, which can make people look washed out in photos. I always try to find some shade or shoot during the golden hour. That's the hour before sunset when the light is much softer. And protect your camera or phone from sand. Even a small grain of sand can scratch your lens.
Great advice. Now, you mentioned you've lived in California near the beach your whole life, but for our listeners who might travel to different places, could you tell us about the different types of beaches? Not all beaches are the same, right?
Oh, that's such a great point. Here in California, we mostly have sandy beaches, but I've traveled to other places with completely different types. Rocky beaches are fascinating. Instead of sand, you have tidal pools and dramatic cliffs. The beaches in Maine are like that. And then there are tropical beaches. The water is so warm and clear with white sand and palm trees. But even in temperate climates, like here in California, the experience is completely different. Our water is much colder, we get marine layer fog, and the activities you can do change with the climate.
That's really interesting how geography affects the beach experience. Now, what about when people go to the beach in groups or with families? Are there specific games or activities that work well for larger groups?
Oh, there are so many fun group activities. Beach volleyball, like I mentioned, is perfect for bigger groups. But there are also games like beach soccer or even simpler ones like capture the flag, using different colored towels as flags. Water balloon tosses are huge hits with families, though you have to be careful to pick up all the balloon pieces afterward. And for a more relaxed group activity, I love organizing beach scavenger hunts. You make a list of things to find, like a shell with a hole in it or a piece of sea glass, and everyone searches together.
A scavenger hunt sounds like so much fun. Now, speaking of being prepared, let's talk about beach safety and packing. What should people always bring to stay safe and comfortable at the beach?
This is so important. First aid kit is essential. You might get a small cut from a shell or need a bandage. Sunscreen is obvious, but bring extra because you need to reapply every 2 hours. And don't forget a hat and sunglasses for eye protection. Water is crucial. Bring more than you think you need. Beach chairs or a beach umbrella can be lifesavers if there's no natural shade. And plastic bags are super useful. One for wet clothes, one for trash, and one to protect your phone or camera from sand and water.
Great packing tips. Now, living in California, you probably go to the beach year round, right? How do beach activities change with the seasons?
Yes, I do. Summer is obviously peak beach season, warm weather, perfect for swimming and beach volleyball, but I actually love winter beach visits. The beaches are much less crowded, the sunset views are incredible, and it's perfect for long walks and tide pooling. Spring and fall are actually my favorite seasons for beach visits. The weather's mild, the crowds are smaller, and you can enjoy activities like hiking along coastal trails or having a beach bonfire. Plus, in spring, you might see migrating whales from the shore.
Whale watching from the beach sounds amazing. Do you have any funny beach memories or stories you'd be willing to share with our listeners?
Oh, I have so many. One time I was building an elaborate sandcastle with my nieces, and we spent hours on it. Towers, moats, the whole thing. We were so proud of our creation, and then this tiny dog came running up and just demolished the entire castle in about 10 seconds.
Oh no. How did the kids react to that?
Well, at first they were devastated, but then the dog's owner felt so bad that they helped us build an even bigger castle, and we all ended up laughing about it. It was actually a great lesson about how things at the beach are temporary. The tide would have washed it away anyway.
That's such a sweet story. And speaking of dogs and being considerate, what about beach etiquette? What should people know about being respectful to others when they're at the beach?
Oh, this is so important. First rule, always clean up after yourself. Pack out everything you pack in, food wrappers, bottles, everything. And if you see litter that isn't yours, consider picking it up anyway. The ocean and marine life depend on us keeping beaches clean. Also, respect personal space. Don't set up your blanket right next to someone else's when there's plenty of open beach. Keep music at a reasonable volume. Not everyone wants to hear your playlist. And if you have kids or pets, keep an eye on them so they're not disturbing other beachgoers.
Those are excellent points. And I imagine respecting wildlife is important too, especially for someone with your background in marine biology.
Absolutely. Never feed seagulls or other wildlife. It makes them dependent on humans and can make them aggressive. If you find shells or rocks, it's okay to look, but many beaches ask that you leave them for others to discover too. And if you're tide pooling, look, but don't touch. Those creatures are very delicate.
Perfect advice. You know, Angela, we've covered so much ground today, from basic activities like swimming and sunbathing to photography tips, different types of beaches, group games, safety, seasonal variations, and proper etiquette. This has been such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing all your beach expertise with us today. I think our listeners learned a lot of useful vocabulary and got some great ideas for their next beach visit.
Thank you for having me, Alex. This was really fun. I hope everyone gets a chance to enjoy a beautiful day at the beach soon.
And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us on Speakly today. If you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful for your English learning journey, we'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to our channel and give us a like. It helps other English learners find the show too. We'll be back next week with another fun conversation topic, so we hope to see you then. Until next time, keep practicing your English and have a wonderful day.